Hey everyone, welcome back to the Autoflux Games 2022. This is event number 2, where I'm going to be sending cars off of a ramp and seeing what happens. It's gonna be good. Yeah, it's been a long day at work today, and I kind of just decided I wanted to smash some vehicles, so we're gonna smash the cars that I've created in the grid map V2 over one ramp at varying distances of run-up, and with some things in there as well to make it a little bit more complicated. But before I explain the actual event, let me talk about the games so far. I may end up spoiling some of the previous results during my commentary of this game, so if you haven't seen the rest of the events already and the car builds, check them out in the playlist that'll be in the description and in the pinned comment. Also, the cars that you're seeing during this are from my Discord. If you want your car to be featured here, you can go and post it in my Discord in the Autoflux channel, but it has to be a recreation of one of the cars that you'll see in the games. All the files are available on the Discord. If you don't know where to find them, you can just ask, but they're pinned in the Autoflux channel, so just check that out. And yeah, your car will be featured here with the rest of them. There are a number of different ways to interact with this event. One of them is, one of the ways that I'm scoring things is by the likes on the build videos. So if you want to support your favorite car of the series, go like that car's video, and that will contribute to its total, which will come into play in the finale of this series. And as always, the best way to support me is just to subscribe if you're enjoying this series, to like these videos, and to comment as well. I'd like to see your comments. So here we are on the grid map V2, and the ramp that we're going to be using is over here. It's just in this sort of section right across from the terrain stuff. It's this one right in the middle. If you want a closer look, it's this. I know it's a little unsuspecting and it's not very big, but it'll work for this, trust me. So as we look back, you can see that there's a bit of a run-up that we can do for this, and there basically isn't anything in the way except for this red brick, which is probably going to be an issue for some of our slower vehicles. But if you make it too far, then you'll end up in the water. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll give it a test run with this car, which is, I think, significantly faster than anything else in this contest. So the first starting line is going to be this cone here, where I'm going to give it a bit of a run-up. We're going to follow this trail exactly all the way over to the ramp, ramp off, and tally some points. Now that's kind of the important part of this. So every car is going to start with 10 total points, which I'm going to then make into the usual 5 total that we have for this series. But basically how it's going to go is every car starts with 10, and then you start to lose points when you lose pieces of the car. Specifically, the wheels. 1 point for each wheel is going to be taken off of that 10 up to 4. So if you fall off the ramp, you lose all the wheels, you're down to 6 points immediately. If your engine doesn't work, you lose an additional 2 points, which would mean you'd be down to 4. Not very much there. If your car is immovable, then you are down to 2 points. If you lose any pieces of the interior, then you're going to be down to 1 point. And if the car looks like it's a pancake, then you're going to be at 0, because yes, it is entirely possible to get 0 points in this contest. Now the reason that I like this event is because it's going to challenge the faster cars quite a lot. I'm going to take off as fast as I can from the starting line and then try to hit the ramp square as I possibly can. Some of the vehicles that might be a bit difficult, but the gist of it is that speed is a bit of an enemy in this, because the faster you go, the higher you go, and therefore the harder you fall. So I think it's going to be fun for some of our contestants here. The Pugo is probably going to have a good time with this one. But there's only one way to find out. Let's get started. So just to give you an idea of what we're working with here, I'm going to start off with my custom BeamNG car, just to show you what something that's really fast can do from such a short distance. This being an all-wheel drive turbo, actually it might be supercharged V8. It's been a while since I made it. Let's go for a bit of a run. I'm going to basically treat these like a drag race, where I'm just going to take off as fast as I can, miss a whole bunch of shifts, and then actually most of the cars are auto, so it's not going to make much of a difference. And, oh, that's pretty darn rough. Okay, yeah, that was the shortest distance. Let's keep that in mind. Okay, so immediately, let's determine the score of this one, just so you know what we're talking about. This car has a roll cage, so the passenger compartment is actually pretty darn structurally sound. That would be 1 point, just fine right there. It's kept all the wheels attached, which is a good start, which is another 4 points, so that is 5 points. The engine doesn't work, so nothing there. And because the engine doesn't work, it's also not movable, so nothing there. And then it doesn't seem like it's lost any of the interior, so again, I guess that's an extra point. So this would be a 6-point run. Pretty darn good, 60% on my scale. Keeping in mind, of course, that this car is a BeamNG one. They react completely differently in crashes. Let's see what automation ones look like. All right, the first car to go is going to be the Snakebite. I'm doing them in order of the time that they were built, not in their current order of the lineup or anything like that. I don't want to spoil things immediately. However, again, you probably should watch the previous events. There are going to be 5 of these and then a finale, so quite a few things to come up. But let's get this thing moving. No need to worry about fuel consumption anymore. We're just going to give it a full-on rip, and we'll see what this Snakebite can do on the ramp of death. I have not tested this at all. I would like to be surprised, so yeah, let's see. Up into drive immediately and off to the races. I'm going to try and hit this ramp as square as I possibly can. That's one of the benefits of this map, is that you've got actual grid map lines, and pretty darn quick, 118 kilometers an hour. Oh, that was rough. The entire interior is gone. Okay, so immediately the car actually drives just fine, which is great. The engine works, which is a good start, and it has all 4 wheels. Amazing. Structural integrity looks really good on this. The cabin, it seems to be fine. It's been flattened, but the thing was already flat, so it's only going to be penalized for the seats flying out. That is a 9-point run. Very good, but this is also one of these slower vehicles, so I was hoping it would do well. Up next is the Red Rocket, probably the fastest vehicle in the lineup. You'll notice that each one of the cars has at least a dashboard and seats. That's really what I'm considering to be the interior, because this car has nothing else. So if those fly out, or any one of those pieces fly out, that's it for that part of the score. So this is probably the fastest vehicle in the lineup. It has over 2,000 horsepower, way too much. But let's give it a full-on rip here. And by rip I mean yes, rip, because it'll do a burnout in every single gear, and its gearing is not helping at all in this situation. That was a heck of a lot of wheel spin and a pretty high jump as well. Oh, okay, the interior at the very least is entirely gone, but it seems like it can still drive. Huh. Not bad. Okay, so engine's still working. The wheels are, one of them is totally bent, as you can see, and completely broken, which is awesome, but they do exist, so that's a good start. I'm gonna have to remove points for the interior being in, well, in disarray, and I'm also gonna remove half a point for structural integrity. It is pretty darn flat, so that is an 8.5-point run off the short ramp. Up next is the ever-deafening Pugo, the world champion of being the slowest car in this lineup by a significant margin. I don't anticipate that this is going to take on much damage at any of these distances, because it's, yeah, it's really slow. So let's run it and see how it goes. Oh my goodness, it is very, very slow. Did I mention that I'm going to be doing a longer run-up? I probably should have. There is more to this than meets the eye. Will we even make it up the ramp? We will probably not pass that red thing. 60-something kilometers an hour? Oh, that's a bit of a lift there, and wow. Yeah, we did not make it past the red thing, and we have also lost our dashboard, but I believe, well, I turned the car off, but yeah, it still drives just fine. That was a big hit, but the car is pretty much intact, so yeah, 9, not bad. Up next in the lineup is the only manual car, and it's the Magic 302, a 50 horsepower Ferrari, which has a massive engine, but no power because, of course, everything has to have a gimmick. Let's launch it off of here and see how it does. The car is not particularly quick, like it has a good amount of torque, but being only 50 horsepower, it isn't really that fast. It is quite light, but yeah, there are faster cars in this series. Is it going to pass the red thing, though? I think it... Oh... Well, that is a cause for confusion there, because we've smashed into it, and wow, is that our first perfect run there? I don't really see any issues at all. Let me just put it in reverse. Yeah, it still drives, the interior is still there. Structurally, it's fine, that's just the front end. I'm looking more for cabin destruction. That is actually a perfect run. And last but definitely not least is the Amazon Prime, the massive monster truck. I almost said magic, but it's not really that magical. It's kind of just brown and crappy. But it is huge, and I'm thinking these tires are probably going to soak up a lot of the damage that we're about to face here. Keeping in mind, of course, that we're running, well, pretty much off the same kind of distance that we were with the previous cars. I'm interested to see how it does. This one is fairly quick, and it definitely rips pretty hard when it needs to, but I'm not sure that that's going to be much of an advantage in this scenario. Over 100 kilometers an hour, and I bet it's going to be fine unless it flips over. Oh, wow, yeah, that's... Oh, okay, I mean, it almost flipped entirely over there, and with a little bit of help, it's managed to right itself completely. Now, drivability-wise, the wheels are all still there, the interior is still there, but you can see that it's bent out of shape significantly. So I'm going to give it 9 points for this run, just because the frame has been thoroughly twisted. Pretty darn good, though, not bad at all. So that was our first distance. As you can see, most of the cars actually made it out of there without too many issues. Lots of 9s, the lowest one being 8.5 on the Red Rocket, which is to be expected. I don't think it's going to do very well in this challenge. But our next run is all the way back here, which is going to give us some more opportunity to get some speed going. And we're also starting in dirt. Yes, let's see how this goes. First up is going to be the snakebite once again. I'm just going to launch her right out of drive there, but with a lot of added speed, well, quite a lot actually. We're going to be over 100 kilometers an hour. This is basically doubling the distance of the run-up, and it's going to give us the opportunity to fly even further. Not saying that's what we actually want to do, but oh, very similar results actually. It's basically exactly the same as last time, with the interior entirely missing and the truck itself being very drivable. Seems like it's a lot harder to take the wheels off than it used to be, although the diff is definitely scraping on the ground. So the snakebite lost points for the interior being ripped out before, and I'm going to give it the same thing again, except I'm going to take away half a point for structural integrity, just because it seems like it's a bit bent. Is that just me? As you have probably noticed, this challenge is fairly subjective because it's all based on my interpretation of the damage of the vehicle. I tried to make it objective in at least most of the ways, but you know how it is. Objectivity does not always mean fun. I'm trying to have fun. Anyway, let's launch the Red Rocket. I've been launching it like this, which is probably a mistake, but we'll probably get a chance to run out of the wheel spin era here. Oh my goodness, it's going to be doing over 200 kilometers an hour. That's quick. Oh, that's really quick. That is, you know, we're going to end up in the pool by the end of this. I almost guarantee it. Boom! And, oh, the pool adds an interesting level to this because the engine is gone now. If you make it all the way to the pool, it's basically a penalty. But if we take a look at the car, we have all our wheels still attached. The car was drivable when it landed in the pool, but because this is a hazard, it's, yeah, not going to get the points for engine that it did before. Structurally, it's actually fine. It's better than it used to be. The entire cockpit is pretty much good. All the wheels are still on there, so that's an interesting 4 points. But the engine does not work, so that's a loss of 2, and therefore it is not movable, which is another loss of 2, and the interior is gone, so this is a 5-point run. Up next is the Pugo. I'm going to give it the old college try here. I want to try and see if we can get past the red thing. I'm not sure that that's going to be possible at this weight and at the speed that this thing is capable of. We'll probably hit maximum terminal velocity by the time we get to the end of this, which is 80 kilometers an hour. When I said probably, I was being a bit ambitious because there's no chance. We might hit 70, might hit 71. Yeah, that's all she got. Pugo, go! And, okay. It's literally the exact same thing again. It still drives, it still runs. Structurally, it's pretty much fine. And we just lost the dashboard. So once again, 9 points for the Pugo. This thing is ripping through this contest. Alright, Magic 302, let's give it a whirl, see how she does. This one does have the opportunity to build up some speed as it's moving forwards. The lack of power really more hampers it in the acceleration department, I would think. But we should be able to at least hit 100 kilometers an hour before the end of this. I hope. Come on, this thing's turbocharged. No, not even 97. That's the top speed that I saw, and we just cleared the red thing. No smashing on it this time, but it actually looks to be really quite fine. I'm going to turn off the engine just so it doesn't starve itself while I flip it over. So taking a look at the car, it seems to have lost an exhaust pipe and maybe that's the wing back there, but the engine still runs, no problem. The structural side of things is actually perfect. The interior is in good shape. This might be a perfect run. Just like last time, this car suffered no damage. So let's at least give it something. There we go. Alright, for all of you monster truck fans out there, it's time to enter the Thunderdome. Let's see what this big truck can do on this ramp. Getting a bit more speed might be good. As long as it doesn't land on the nose, then it'll be fine. These tires are huge and they cushion a lot, so hitting a decent speed might mean we land flatter. Whoa, that was a bit of a rip there, and it's definitely top heavy. It's going down. Oh, that's rough. Nothing has lost any wheels yet, I should say. The ability to turn has actually remained consistent throughout this. Okay, as I said that, this one is definitely hurting in the wheels department. More so than I would have thought, and structurally, it's gone. It is absolutely toast. The rear suspension is just non-existent anymore. So, in terms of interior, we actually kept it, so that's another point. The engine works, and so does the drivetrain, so it actually drives. That's 5 points total. I'm only going to give it 2 out of 4 possible points for wheels because it seems like they're not really there. At least the suspension part of it is just not even working, so yeah, 2 points for that. I believe that gives it a total of 8 points overall because it lost something for structural integrity. Actually, that's 7 points. Math is difficult because it lost a point for structural integrity and it lost 2 points for the wheels. So our first 7 of the games. Okay, so this was our second jump. As you could see, we basically just had a straight run, starting in dirt, but a straight run over to the ramp. This time it's going to get a little bit more interesting because we're going a bit further back, and I don't know how well this is going to be able to make it up there on its own, but the next cone is on the top of that end, all the way up there. I don't know if anything's actually going to be able to fit up there, but let's give it a shot. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a starting run entirely in dirt as well, for better or worse. Alright, so this is what we're looking at now. Down the ramp, over top of the slope there, and then down once again over to the ramp. I'm not sure how much of a difference this is going to make, but I think it'll do some weirdness for some of the faster cars, and that's the entire reason I wanted to try it this way. It's going to be fun because that's the whole point. So let's try it without falling off and see if I can... actually, I'm going to center this first. I'm going to have to start on an angle and then turn my way onto it. Yeah, this is going to be weird, so get ready. Okay, here we go. First run of this portion of the games. Down the hatch. Oh, this is going to be weird. Yeah, I don't think that gave it that much of an advantage, to be honest, but we do have a pretty good rip going here. I feel like that cone is probably in danger. 120 kilometers an hour is not slow for the snakebite. 140, this is going to be our fastest run up yet, which is exactly what I want. And wow, bit of a launch for this one, right on the destruction line. That is very, very similar to how it was before. In fact, it is going to be the exact same score. 8.5 structural integrity and wheels. Yikes. Very consistent showing for this thing, and a very strong engine as well. I'm surprised, but maybe I shouldn't be. It's a fun car, and I'm glad to see it do well. Up next is the famed red rocket. Let's see if I can launch it off of here in a reasonable manner. Oh, there she goes. And boom, all this stuff is gonna fly off right out of the gate, which is fine. I mean, as long as we make it to the ramp, I'm good. And this car does not want to drive straight at all because of torque steer. This one is gonna go straight for the water, I bet. That is a ridiculous run. Whoa, this is definitely gonna be the farthest that we fly in this entire games, and oh, smushed, but all the way through. Hey, that actually might not be too bad. And just as before, I'm gonna turn off the engine so I can flip it without it breaking. So the engine is damaged, and so are all of the wheels after that run. It is still technically drivable, but it is very, very hurting at the moment. Not a bad run, actually, considering that the engine still works and the car is still movable, so that immediately is 4 points. All of the wheels are intact, kind of, for the most part. I'm actually going to give it 3 points for that, for a total of 5 right now. Structural integrity is actually good, so that is actually going to be a total of 8. Not bad for this car at all. Way better than its last run, probably because it didn't land and then roll into the water, so it's still drivable. Up next on our death-defying stunt list is the Pugo. Let's see how it'll do here. I suspect it's gonna do okay, because it'll finally have a bit of a burst of speed. Either that or the engine is going to explode, because in gear it'll probably rev way, way, way too high and then blow up halfway down the ramp. So let's see how things work in that regard. So far the Pugo has been incredibly consistent at 9 points each. I am curious to see how well it'll do in this run. Come on, Pugo, let's go, let's go, and... oh! That's not ideal. Come on, over rev risk. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Oh, it's really struggling. This car is a disaster in all aspects. But this is exactly what we needed. A bit of a boost to give us some speed, and 71 kilometers an hour. I don't expect this to do anything different than what we've seen. The engine is already damaged, but I don't think it's going to be even more damaged unless we really hit this ramp with some ridiculous speed, which you know just is not going to happen. 80 kilometers an hour, that's only like 2 or 3 more than last time, but it is going to hit the red thing, and oh, a massive roll from the Pugo. Oh, goodness. So the car actually does drive pretty well, but I'm going to have to take off points for the structural integrity, just because it's been thoroughly damaged, and again the interior has lost a piece, so that's 1 point. That is going to mean 8.5 points for the Pugo, an all-around solid performance from this car. Very pleased to see it do well in this challenge. Okay, second last, we have the Magic 302. I'm just going to give this one its go, because I'm curious to see how well it'll do. Being a manual car, I have to be careful not to over-rev it. Being a not-so-powerful car, I'm not expecting very much, and as we saw there, it's got the torque to get through this without any issues, and it is actually remarkably stable. This will be its fastest run if it can get into 4th gear. Oh man, it has so many problems getting into 4th gear. Really, really poorly geared on my part, but this is definitely going to be faster than what we've seen from it before. 112 kilometers an hour, well over the red thing, and oh, smushed front end. Yikes, that's actually going to be rough, isn't it? Because it doesn't turn anymore, but it still drives. I'm going to have to take off a point because it won't turn, and I'm also going to take off, or I'm going to take off half a point because it won't turn, and I'm going to take off half a point for the structural integrity because it has become flat at the front. So it's actually going to be a 9. Still the best so far. And for the moment you've all been waiting for, it's the Amazon Prime and its final run down the ramp. Is it just going to flip over immediately as soon as I turn onto it? Very likely. And if it does that, I'll have to figure out a different way to do it. But let me just give it a go and see how she does. Just going to have to very gingerly lean up into this, and... actually not bad at all. Very bouncy, but this getting a bit of a run up means it's going to have a ridiculous launch, and those front tires are already crying. I'm going to guarantee that they will definitely not be able to turn after this. We have not seen any wheels fly off yet in this challenge. I'm hoping for at least something here. Come on, Prime, let's do it. And oh, just crushed. just crushed. It's actually not as bad as before. I mean, it's not flipped over yet, but let's see how she looks when it's over. Right, so it's turned into a V shape. The engine is starved of oil because of the flip, but the wheels actually seem more attached than they did last time, and the rear suspension has not collapsed as it did before. Check out those leaf springs, by the way. Those are U-shaped. Okay, fine. Most leaf springs are U-shaped, but the reality for this one is that I don't know how to rate it. Structurally, gone. That's immediately a point missing. Seats and everything are still intact, and it drives just fine. All four wheels are good. This might be a 9-point run, which would be the same as its first. I guess it got a little lucky on the bounce there, because yikes. What a weird one. Alright, we have lots of interesting information to discuss here. If you're interested in the results, this is the place to be. So, yeah, as per the prior warning, spoilers for the first event of the games, at least in terms of the overall results of things. But it's important to know that, yeah, things are continuing forwards, and I want you to know how it's going as we get into the end of the second event and then on to the third event. In first place for this event was the Magic 302. No surprise there at all. Basically, the point totals are the total of the 3 jump scores, then averaged and then divided by 2, because 5 points each is the max. Each event basically counts as 5 points, at least in a perfect score. Which you can see the Magic 302 basically got 4.8, because yes, we're getting into decimal places in order to make this weirder. But, you know, I'm kind of into math and spreadsheets, so this is where it gets fun for me. I love this data. Second place in this event was the Pugo with 2 9s and an 8.5, a very good showing from that car, which is to be expected. Being so slow, I kind of figured these cars would do well, and they definitely did. Third place was the Snakebite at 4.3, super close. As you can see, the contest was neck and neck with these kind of middle of the road cars, and the Amazon Prime as well, 4.2, with the Red Rocket last place, as you would suspect with this type of thing. It's such a fast car that it just had to suffer on this one. So if you want to take a look at the game's total, you'll probably remember from the first event that the Red Rocket and the Amazon Prime actually tied for first, with the Snakebite and the Pugo tying for second, and the Magic 302 dead last. Things are actually pretty similar to that result. Obviously, we've only done 2 games so far, but the Magic 302 is making a bit of a comeback. It was really far behind before, not as much this time. Amazon Prime is currently winning with 8.7 points. Yikes, that's out of a possible 10. It's doing really well. The Red Rocket is in second with 8.1 points, Pugo in third, Snakebite in fourth, and Magic 302 in fifth. But the race is still pretty close. I mean, there's definitely some room to improve for these cars, but it's not all over yet. Still, we have 3 more events. We've got the polls and stuff to do. We got a lot of stuff going on, so stick around. It's going to be fun. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know again what you thought of it in the comments. I put a lot of time into these, and it's great to see your comments and see what people think. And stay tuned until next week for the 3rd episode. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. If I made any mistakes in this, by the way, I will correct them before the next one. You just gotta let me know in the comments, and obviously I'll be looking too, but I am a human. I am prone to make mistakes. Okay, let's go on to the supporters. So we've got Overlord, QT Bear, Terry01, J.A. Pope, Davis Heister, The German Dude, Sleep64, Sinlab, Jared Grigg, Goofy Plays Badger, and Phoenix Shark as advanced supporters of this channel. These are the people who are supporting everything, I guess. This series is supported by them, and also, yeah, this channel is too. So thank you guys for your support. Appreciate you all a lot, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the comments and also in the Discord and everywhere else. Yeah, man, things have been good. Things have been busy, but very good for the channel in the past couple weeks. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. See you soon. Thanks for watching.